Good morning, Dexter KAIAMA. I represent Mr. Kale Gumapac, who's standing to my right. We're happy to announce today that the prosecutor's office had dismissed the case against Mr. Gumapac for criminal trespass upon his own property. Although we cannot speculate as to why they dismissed it, and they did dismiss it without prejudice, so there's always the possibility that it can be refiled. But I like to believe that Mr. Gumapac continues to be a victim of a unlawful trial. He was deprived his fair and regular trial under international law, as well as a violation of U.S. federal law. The issue concerning his property, that title continues to be unresolved, and I believe because of that because of the unresolved title, and because of the fact that Mr. Gumapac is a victim of an unfair and regular trial, that may have been a factor in the prosecutors dismissing the case without prejudice. But again, I'm happy that Mr. Gumapac does not have to face the charges, although we remain supremely confident that had we been in trial, that we would have prevailed.
Today is a great day, and I think it's a great day not just for me, but for everybody throughout all of the islands. And I'm really happy to have an attorney like Dexter KAIAMA, representing me and being able to provide all of the evidence and information to the courts that I believe was overwhelming, and I look forward to helping other people if they have any questions or if they need help, for them to contact us. But primarily the issue has always been that there's a defect in title, and that the banks, after receiving all of the evidence that we were able to provide them on the defect in title, that they should file a claim with their title insurance company. And it would have been simple, because we wouldn't have had to go through all of this. And most people who are in foreclosure wouldn't have to deal with the thought of being evicted from their homes because of the defect in title on all residential and all commercial properties. And this is one thing that I believe that people need to know. And them dismissing the trial today was a great day for all of us. However, we were prepared, to go to court and present all the evidence and present our arguments. And especially with, I'd like to thank some of the witnesses that we were coming to court, and Dr. Keanu Sai, and we also had on the witness list Dr. Williamson Chang. And so I think this had a big effect. In addition to that, after reading all this, what we had provided, that it just made sense not to take the case to any further.
Real quick, I guess since last we spoke, you had some more contact with Aquin.
And I think that played a major role, because Aquin, who is the servicer for Deutsche Bank, sent me a settlement letter because of the decision that was made against Aquin throughout all of America, and for their fraud and illegal foreclosures that they did. So I got a letter from Aquin, in the settlement, and they admitted to the settlement and wanted me to sign a letter so that they could pay me. So I forwarded that information over to my attorney Dexter, and that was also inclusive in the evidence that we submitted to the courts. And so it shows that the title and also the servicing company, Aquin, was totally at fault at moving to foreclose on people's homes, and that included me. I think that letter played a huge role.
The letter from Aquin to Mr. Gumapac concerned a settlement that Ocwen had with lawsuits that were brought against Ocwen, and it was in the administration of their foreclosure process, and there was some defect in the administration of their foreclosure process. And I guess there was a settlement whereby Ocwen essentially admitted to that defect in the foreclosure process. That is separate from the argument that Mr. Gumapac and I and Dr. Sai has presented to the court, meaning that there was a defect in title. And because of the defect in title, Ocwen or Deutsche Bank was required and obligated under contract to pursue the title insurance, which they failed to do. And by failing to provide the title insurance claim, the question of title still remains unresolved. I believe it's that unresolved question of title that may have played a factor in the prosecutors dropping the case, because if title is at issue, then they would not have had the legal right to actually apprehend and evict Mr. Gumapac from that property, because in fact the person they were carrying out orders for may not have had legal title to the property. So that would be the basis for the argument against the prosecution. But I do believe the Ocwen settlement, whereby they admitted some defects in their foreclosure process, may have played a factor as well.
You know, I'd just like to, you know, again, let people know that who are maybe watching and listening to this, is that this is all about contracts. And when people have their, go in to get it financed, their homes and the lands that they buy from the bank, all of this stuff is included in the contracts, of which the contracts protect both the bank as well as the individual that's buying the home. And people should be able to also enforce the contract itself. And this is where Deutsche Bank breached that contract. And that's why we're here in the foreclosure process, because that should never have taken place. And even though we provided all that evidence. So we can go on and on and on about it, but basically all titles throughout Hawaii in all residential commercial properties are defective, and the truth prevailed. So this is pono, what took place.
One more quick thing. Can you put this decision in the context of what's going on right now with OHA Nation Building or Department of Interior hearings, or the letter by Kavanagh?
In my opinion, I think the letter from CEO of OHA, Kavanagh Opono Crab, is having a huge effect across all of the islands, and especially coming from a state agency that has finally posed that question: does the Hawaiian Kingdom exist, and what's the position of the United States? And especially coming from a state agency, that was really, really big. And now you have to look at DLNR and all these other state agencies, and they are now beginning to question, what about them? Okay. And then right after that, we got the Department of Interior hearings, and people turned out overwhelmingly. I mean, 99.9% of the people that testified were testifying that the Hawaiian Kingdom, quote, still exists. Secondly, that the Department of Interior isn't here. So, you know, people see the news, people watch this, they're reading the newspapers. And so, yes, that had a huge effect. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Do you need to? Okay, and thank you. Actually, that question is a perfect segue for me to talk about the ribbons that we're wearing for the shirt. And we have to thank La'akea Carvalho for providing us with these ribbons. And these ribbons represent the Queen's protest against the efforts to try to annex Hawaii. And it's because of the direct efforts and this protest letter by the Queen, as well as the protest petitions by the Arkupuna, is what defeated those attempts at annexation. And as a result, as we know historically, the United States can only claim sovereignty by way of joint resolution, which both under international law as well as U.S. law cannot happen. So they don't have any lawful claim. And as a result of that, it actually obligated Dr. Kavanagh Opono Crab to actually remake that request and request those questions and submit that to Secretary of State Kerry. It also puts an obligation on Kamana Opono Crab in order to protect his staff as well as the OHA trustees not to move forward with any governance matters that may in fact impact adversely the Hawaiian Kingdom's claims and rights, so that they themselves, Dr. Crab, his staff, as well as the trustees, do not violate international law, U.S. law, as well as Hawaiian Kingdom law.
For me, it's a great understanding, opened my eyes to a lot of new things and see the transition as things are moving forward. And for myself, it's great to be a part of a growing community of education and be able to be that point to help be transparent in that education and sharing this with the community, which changes myself, my choices now, and happy to be a Hawaiian Kingdom subject.
I'm actually learning a lot about Hawaiian Kingdom and Hawaiian Kingdom law, and I firmly believe in it, and I look forward to seeing more changes, and I'm glad to be here today to support what we're doing.
You think this will have an impact in the community, maybe a little bit? Or?
Yes, I do. I don't wish it. I think it's happening, and I think it's time that we all get together and support this. It's amazing to me how much I've been learning about the unlawful occupation and so forth. But I'm here as a supporter for now, and I'm actually a student of learning this. But,
Thank you.
yeah.